Hey friends, it's Christy Reuling of Christy It's Crafty, and I am thrilled to be back guest designing with my favorite things. Today I'm going to be making a card using the new Raving Raccoons stamp set, and I will also be using the Hearts and Stripes 6x6 pattern paper pad. I've stamped out my two larger raccoons on some Copic friendly cardstock with MFT's Black Licorice Hybrid ink, and I'm going to be coloring with my Copic markers today. So for the darker parts of their body, I'm using some warm grays. I'm using W3, W5, W7, and W9. And when I'm coloring in small little areas like this, I like to color darkest to lightest. I think it just saves time and you don't lose anything in the overall effect in the end. So I'm starting with that W9 and just laying in my shadows. I'm imagining that my light source is coming full on, so the centers of their bodies are going to be the most highlighted area. And then I'll come in with the W7 and then the W5, and always just flicking that color in towards the center and turning my paper as I go. The way that the color is going to taper off with that flicking motion is going to really help it to blend nicely. So when I come in with my next lightest color, I just grab the end of the previous one and color over that and carry it towards the center. And that's just going to make everything nice and smooth and eliminate any harsh lines. For his tail, I'm doing the exact same thing, just bringing in the darkest color from the outside edge. That's going to make it look more three-dimensional, give it a little bit more of a rounded appearance. And then I'm going to bring the color towards the center as I progress to the lightest shade. As I color in his mask, I want to be extra careful not to get too heavy-handed with those darker colors. Our eyes are so important. They're one of our most expressive features on our face, and I want to make sure that his don't get lost. So I'm saving the majority of that area for the W3. And to do the other side, I'm going to turn my paper once again because it's really important to get that angle the same so that the shading will be the same as well. I colored the little girl just the same, and I thought I'd show you the lighter portions of their bodies on her. So for that I'm using W00, W1, W3, and W5. And again, I'm starting darkest to lightest, so I'm using that W5 right on the outside edge. And then I'm just bringing that across with the W3. I'm also going to go all the way across her chin because I want that to be a little bit more in shadow, since that would kind of be indented a little bit closer to her neck. Then I'm blending out with the W1, and then I'll finish that light space with the W00. And for the lighter rings on her tail, I'm doing it the same way, just starting with the darkest on the outside edge and bringing that color in towards the center. And I also did their little hands and feet in the W3 and W1. I used RV11 to color in the insides of their ears. I wanted to give them little matching outfits, so for their shirts I'm using my favorite red combo, which is R29, R39, and R59. And again, just coloring darkest to lightest, adding that shading on the sides of their bodies and under their arms, and blending towards the lightest shade in the center. My go-to combo for jeans is B95, B97, and B99. And I'm just adding that darkness between his legs as well to make it look a little bit more realistic, and then blending toward the center. And that B97 got pushed back just a little too far, so I just added a little bit more in and then blended with the B95 once again. And then she has a little ruffle on the hem of her shirt, so I'm using the RV11 and RV13 to color that in. And now that they're done, I'll just die cut these with the matching dies. To create our focal panel, I'm taking the Stitch Square Scallop Edge frames, and I'm going to tape that down to a piece of gravel gray cardstock. And then I'll take the new Peekaboo striped heart and add that to the center. I'm going to tape that down as well, just using some post-it tape so that it doesn't shift as it goes through my die cutting machine. I'll remove the outer edge of that frame, but I'm going to keep the rest of it together because I like the look of that for today's card. And then I'll just pop out the little sections of my heart, and it's going to look like a little prison. For my sentiment, I've got an extra piece of that gravel gray cardstock, and I'm just treating that with an anti-static powder tool. I'm going to stamp that down in some Versamark ink, which is just a clear sticky watermark ink that works great for heat embossing. My sentiment reads, "You stole my heart," which is super cute, and I'm going to stamp it down twice to get a really good impression. Then I will dip that in some white embossing powder and heat set that until it's all nice and melted. While I have my MISTI out, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the inside of the card. That's something I always like to do. I just like to bring a little bit of the fun from the outside onto the inside. And I also think it just gives them that little extra polish. I'm using some steel gray hybrid ink to stamp the other two little raccoons in this set and a flower, and my second sentiment, which reads, "We'll always be partners in crime." I just love the sentiments in this set. They're so cute and clever. I wanted to trim down my sentiment, so I thought these banners from the Hearts in a Row vertical die set would be perfect for that. And I also wanted to add just a little bit of an embellishment to my focal panel. So I'm using the little trio of hearts from the Valentine Wishes stamp set, and I'm going to stamp those down in that steel gray ink that we used on the inside of our card. There is a small, medium, and large in this set, so I'm just going to stamp them here and there as if they're kind of sprinkled across the card front in various sizes, and that ink color will fade just a little bit as it dries back into the cardstock. I've trimmed down my pattern paper using the A2 stitched rectangle stacks set 2. And this is the largest in that set, so it's going to give me about a 1/16 of an inch border all around the outside edge with that gray cardstock showing through. And it's also going to give me that great stitch detail. So I'm adhering that down with some liquid glue, and then I'm just making sure that it's really straight on the card before I press it firmly into place. I used some extra post-it tape to hold that scalloped frame onto the focal panel, and then I added my foam tape right over top of that, and I'm going to pop that up on my card front. I'm just going to line that up and make sure that the pattern paper is showing even on both sides, and then I can just press that down. I've added some extra foam tape between the bars of my little heart-shaped prison, and I'll add some liquid glue to the back of my raccoon, and then I'll tuck him in between there so that he looks like he's making his escape. And I'll add my little girl raccoon just the same, except I'm going to have her looking like she's sitting waiting for him out in front. I've added some foam tape to the back of my sentiment banner as well, and I'm just going to use the heart design on my pattern paper to make sure that I have that lined up nice and straight. As a final embellishment, I'm going to take a black gel pen and just go over their eyes once again and make them nice and bold and bright. It's a little detail that I think makes a really big difference. And there is a final look at the inside, and that is going to complete our card for today. This is actually the first in a monthly series that I'll be doing with MFT called Christy Gets Crafty with My Favorite Things. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this one. Be sure to leave me a comment down below if you did. And I hope you'll stay tuned for next month's installment. Subscribe to My Favorite Things for more inspiring videos just like these here on screen. Bye-bye!